Check out our new sponsors, The Games Cube. It's a great family-run local game store boasting Australia's biggest selection of MTG singles. Use the coupon code The Eternal Gathering to get 5% off store-wide. Check their site out in the link below. G'day everyone, welcome to The Eternal Gathering. The Gathering here with another deck tech, and we're doing Pioneer. And it's been a while since we've done a deck tech, so I thought we'll do one for the new year. Happy New Year to everyone. Welcome to 2022. Today we're doing Orzhov Auras for Pioneer. So this deck, although it is in the meta, it's a deck that I find quite fun to play, and I was already kind of thinking about making prior to, I guess, it being a deck within Pioneer. But nonetheless, this deck is something that's quite cheap, $255 on MTG Goldfish. Here we've got it for about, where is it? The deck prices. Here we go on the left. Yeah, about 300. So 250 to 300 you're looking at for this deck, which isn't too bad, considering it is probably one of the better decks in the Pioneer format. Prior to me, I guess, playing with it, I haven't been able to play due to COVID, and prior to COVID it was one of the better decks. I'm not too sure what the meta would be like now, since there's been a couple of sets that's been out since this deck was around, but nonetheless I've made it. I've play tested with it myself. I feel like it's quite a fun and can be a deck that gets out of hand quite easily, and I'm really looking forward to playing it once things open up again over here in Australia. We're just getting hit by this Omicron variant, and there's been some stores closing down in terms of their play space. So what we're going to look at here is we're going to go through the deck list and kind of talk about why the cards are there, what this deck is meant to do, talk a little bit about the sideboard, the matchup that you'll probably see, and what you'll be doing with those sideboards and in those matchups. Alright, so we go with creatures. There's quite a lot of creatures actually, 20 creatures in this deck, but they all serve a purpose. So we've got 4 Stonecoil Serpents. Now this card is really, really good. I think it'd be underrated actually. Reach, Trample, and Pro from multicolored. Monocolored cards do see more play, yes, but the stats there are pretty good for 1 mana, 1/1 for Reach, Trample, Protection from multicolored if you play for 1. Obviously, if you get this later in the game, it can get out of hand if you bring down for 4 or 5 mana. It's 4 or 5/5 with Reach and Trample. Reach is really relevant because it's the only card in your deck that has the ability to block flying creatures without any auras on it. So it's a really good early card because you can put it down for 1 mana, and there you go, you've got Trample already on it, which is really helpful for this deck if you do have Trample to put that extra damage through, because you're going to be pumping up all your creatures with auras. So that's our reasoning behind having 4 in the deck. I did have 3, but I felt like it was overperforming, so I went up to 4. We have our side of a Life's Bounty. This is a 1 white mana for a 1/1 lifelinker, and you can sacrifice 4 mana to give target creature or enchantment you control protection from a color of their choice until end of turn. So this is just to help out. It's a bit of a support card for the other creatures in the deck, but it itself has lifelink, so you can pump it up itself with the auras and getting some more life, which might be helpful for you, especially if you're playing against like burn decks or really aggressive decks. So mainly here as a support card to protect your other creatures. Favorite Hoplite, a really good 1-drop. It's a 1/2, so it's already got good stats on it, and whenever your card spell targets it, you put +1/+1 counter on it and prevent all damage that we dealt to it this turn. So what you want to do is obviously we're putting auras on your creature, so you're putting an aura on this, you get an extra +1/+1 buff on it, and you can attack knowing that your creature will not die. So if you need to attack, like say you have a lifelink on it for whatever reason, and you want to gain that extra life, go ahead and swing. Your guy will not be destroyed that turn. A really good 1-drop. Hateful Eidolon, another kind of support card. Itself, it is not too bad either. As a creature, again, it got lifelink, and whenever any creature that's enchanted dies, you draw a card for each aura that was controlled by you that was attached to it. So it's giving you some card advantage there if you get a board wipe or your creature dies. That is one of the weaknesses of this deck, board wipes and heavy removal. So it's a way to kind of get some more card advantage to start building up your army again, or your creature with some auras again. Once they've got rid of one of them or all of them, you can rebuild if this is out and you're able to draw some cards. Shrine Senior Advisor. This guy is basically just card draw engine for you. Whenever you cast an aura or equipment, you draw a card. The vehicle doesn't really matter, we don't have any vehicles. But yeah, you draw into more and more cards. So it's a really good card draw engine. Obviously, it's legendary, so we're only playing 3 because we do want to see it. We would like to play this usually on turn 2 if we can. Also, you can pump it itself and put stuff on it and draw each turn. Now, I play Lurrus of the Dream Dev in the main board, not as a companion. There's a couple reasons to that. First one, I like the ability to be able to play it straight from hand, not have to get it into your hand and for 3 mana and then play it out the turn after, usually. I like getting into your hand, being able to play it, and play cards from your grave straight away from it. It kind of gives you a bit of a surprise advantage there for that turn. They're not going to see that coming. And also having 2 is really good because usually they do try and kill the Lurrus straight away if they can. So if that does get away and it dies, you've always got a backup somewhere in the deck that you can draw into. So I like having it in the main board, not as a companion itself. But if you like having it as a companion, you can definitely play this as the companion. This deck does kind of make that that rule. If you take out the 2 Lurruses and put one in the companion slot, you can add an extra, maybe outside of Life's Bounty, or some more enchantments or something like that. Spell-wise, the 4 Thought Seizers, just so just to help you out, getting rid of their removals in the early game, or anything that you probably can't deal with. There's no removal in your deck, in your main board, so if there is a creature that you feel like is going to take over the game, if it comes on battlefield, then you can get rid of it with your Thought Seizers. Karametra's Blessing, another great protection spell. 1 mana to give a creature +2/+2 until turn. But if it's enchanted or an enchantment creature, it gains hexproof and indestructible until turn. So it's really good to keep up that white one mana so that you can protect your creatures with this Karametra's Blessing. A really good card. Artifacts, Shadow Spear, +1/+1 trample, which is really important. That extra trample, and lifelink is also nice. And then the other ability doesn't really make too much of a difference, but it can always come up every now and again. But mostly here for the trample. 2 of because it's legendary, and we're going to draw a lot of cards in this deck as well usually, so you don't want to be having too many copies in your hand, so I think 2's a nice number. Enchantments, we've got Cartouche of Solidarity, so giving you a creature token on a battlefield to block with, and then giving your enchanted creature +1/+1 and first strike. Through armor, gets ++1 for each enchantment you control and first strike, so really buffs up the creature if it's already got some enchantments on it. Great Spoon to give it flying, so a bit of evasion. Also, you can get it from your graveyard, which is really good, without having to use Lurrus's ability. Sentinel's Eyes, again, getting it from your graveyard for escaping it, and giving it vigilance, and +1/+1, really nice, so another repeatable enchantment. And then Audit Glitters, there's only one of Audit Glitters because it costs, sorry, not one of, 3 of, instead of 4, because it costs 2 mana. So I think 3 is a good number to have, but it's pretty much like Ethereal Armor itself as well, but it counts artifacts, so it's really helpful if you have Shadow Spear out. Land-wise, only 16 lands. We don't need that many because our most expensive card is Lurrus, and we don't want to be drawing into too many lands. We want to be drawing more into the enchantments and creatures. So 4 Bright Climb Pathways, 4 Caves of Kolios, 4 Concealed Courtyards, and 4 Godless Shrines. There is no Blood Moon in the format, so I'm not worried about getting screwed over by that kind of card. 61 cards in the main, as usual. That's what I like to do. Sideboard wise, we've got Pithy Needles. Pithy Needles are a staple sideboard, I think, in Pioneer Modern, especially Modern, because it hits a lot of things in Modern. But Pioneer, you can definitely hit Planeswalkers with this. Also, any lands that might be, I guess, problematic. Or any other creature or enchantment that has any activated abilities. It's always really good to have this in your sideboard. Fracture, really good kind of removal card for artifacts, enchantments, and planeswalkers. So definitely reversing someone that's planeswalk heavy, enchantment heavy, or artifact heavy. You bring these in, and it's really flexible having those three options. Banishing Light, a type of removal spell that we can play, and it kind of buffs up our creatures because it's an enchantment itself. So having two of those. Two Baleful Masteries. I think this is a really good card. Look, the 2 mana for them to just draw a card, but you're exiling a creature or planeswalker. It's really relevant. It's really good against decks that have something that in the way that you just can't get through, or that's just going to be problematic, and it exiles them, it doesn't destroy them. So that's why I think playing Baleful Mastery is a good option in the sideboard for the exile clause. Land of Sanctity against your burn decks, or if people playing a lot of Thoughtseizers and stuff like that, you can also play this as well. Land of the Void against the graveyard-centric decks, Lurrus decks as well. You can play this and not have to worry about your own graveyard getting, I guess, ruined. So overall, that's the deck itself. I think what you'll want to do is you play on turn 1, hopefully a Favorite Hoplite, or any creature really, a 1-drop. Turn 2, Shram, Senior Advisor would be a really nice option. And then turn 3, you just be pumping it up, putting your enchantments on it, drawing into more cards. You don't want to necessarily flood the board with your creatures. You want to hold some into your hand in case there is a board wipe or there's some removal, and then you can play another creature on top of that. Kind of a lot like the Boggles deck in Modern. You just don't want to play all your creatures out, because if they kill those creatures and you've got no creatures left to play, you run out of steam and they can just easily take over the game, the opponent. So you want to keep some cards in your hand, some creatures in your hand. You don't want to put them all down. Obviously, it's nice to have an R-side out to protect your other creature, or maybe a Hateful Eidolon to get some more card advantage if you think they're going to be able to kill that creature. Again, you're going to be able to get at least 5 cards back from your graveyard in terms of enchantments, and then when you do draw into Lurrus, if it is going to be a longer game, you got that card advantage there with Lurrus as well. I like to always look at some stats. So as you can see, we're only playing 16 lands, and most of our stuff is 1-drops, as you can see. We've got a couple 2-drops. The 3-drops are literally only the Lurruses, and then we've got in our sideboard, we've got some more, I guess, higher mana cost, but hopefully you get these into the battlefield from your opening hand. And then the 0 is just for the Stone Coil Serpent, but usually that's going to be a 1-drop at minimum. So very low mana curve, so therefore that's why we're playing the 16 lands. That's pretty much it. We've got 31 rares in the main, 10 in the sideboard, 17 in the main of uncommons, 5 in the sideboard, and 13 commons in the main as well. So there you can see average CMC 1.13. Alright guys, hopefully be able to do some more gameplay videos, looking at doing some of those if I can, to show you off some of the deck techs that we have on the channel. As always guys, share, like, subscribe. Everything on the stack has resolved, and good games everyone.